Elections are supposed to be about debate, about choice, but what happens when simply running for office could get you killed? Today, we're looking at the absolutely shocking and tragic reality of Mexico's recent election, a story of violence that's a serious warning for any democracy.
37. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's not some polling number or statistic. That is the number of political candidates who were straight up assassinated during Mexico's 2024 election campaign.
And believe it or not, it gets even worse if we zoom out a bit and include other political figures, like local officials who were also killed during this time. That number jumps to over 60. More than 60 people murdered just for being part of the democratic process.
This has become so common, so systematic, that people have given it a chilling name, an election by assassination. So let's break down how this horrific wave of violence actually played out.
As you can see here, this wasn't some isolated event. It was a long, sustained campaign of terror. It really started back in late 2023, with threats and killings of people just thinking about running. Then, as campaigning got into full swing in early 2024, the violence just exploded with more high-profile murders. Through the spring, it just kept spreading across state after state, and by the time the election happened in June, the total was over 60 political figures dead.
And here's the really disturbing part. As shocking as these numbers are for 2024, this isn't some new problem. It's actually part of a crisis that has been getting worse and worse for years.
I mean, just look at this chart. It tells a pretty grim story. In the 2018 election, 24 candidates were murdered. Bad, right? Well, in the 2021 midterms, that number shot up to over 90. And now, in 2024, with more than 60 political figures killed, it's clear this isn't just a trend, it's become a horrifying part of the system.
So the big question is, who is doing this? The sources point the finger directly at organized crime groups. And their goal? It's simple, and it's brutal. It's all about control. See, if they can control a town's mayor and the local police, they control everything. Drug routes, local businesses they can extort, the whole shebang. This goes way beyond politics. It's a violent fight for who actually governs the country.
And this reality, it's just so jarring when you look right across the border. It really sets up a tale of two democracies, neighbors that are operating in completely different worlds.
And this lays out that divide in really stark terms. In Mexico, the constant threat of being murdered literally hangs over the whole political process. But in the United States, I mean, yeah, the political talk gets ugly, for sure, but the idea of dozens of candidates being systematically hunted down and killed in one election cycle, it's just unthinkable.
Look, American democracy has its own set of very real challenges. We all know that. But that basic, fundamental ability for a candidate to just show up, to campaign in public without a genuine fear of being killed, that's a pillar of the system we probably take for granted. The process itself is still, for the most part, peaceful.
And that huge contrast really forces you to stop and to think about the incredible value of peace inside a democracy.
So what is it that creates that peace? It's all about the safeguards, right? The institutions we've built up over generations. It's the simple expectation that power will change hands peacefully. It's the laws and just the norms that protect candidates. And maybe most important of all, it's the freedom for everyone, not just candidates, but all of us, to argue, to protest, and to vote without being afraid.
In the end, the source material really sums it up perfectly. It says, Mexico's struggles underscore the fragility of democratic institutions when challenged by violence and corruption. Wow, that's a powerful reminder that the stability we might assume is just a given, it's really not. It's something that has to be actively protected.
And that leaves us with a really important question to think about. With all the political tension rising all over the world, what safeguards do we think are the most essential to make sure our own democracies stay peaceful? That's a question that's more important now than ever. Thanks for tuning in.